Thank you so much, Laura. This has been a great weekend so far, and this is a great event and a wonderful evening. And thank you so much for being a great audience. Little did I know that losing my hand would lead to sharing the story of my second act in this remarkable way. I will definitely add this experience to my list of amputation perks. I describe cancer as the narrow spot in the hourglass, and I'm the sand. I've traveled from the top through that tight spot to the bottom, the same sand, but with a dramatically different arrangement. A couple of years ago, I was lending a hand at my granddaughter's 8th birthday party. It was a tea party for Amy and 4 of her friends, one of whom, Faith, has autism, and Faith doesn't talk much at all. About 2/3 of the way through the party, after I had finished filling her teacup with lemonade, Faith looked up at me and said, "You only have one hand." "Yes," I said. "Would you like to hear the story?" She shook her head. So I got down on her level at a children's table and I said, "Before you and Amy were born, I had something growing in my hand that was not good. It was called sarcoma. And I went to the doctor, and he told me that in order to not have that sarcoma anymore, I was going to have to not have my hand anymore." The doctor helped me. And now I don't have sarcoma, and I don't have my hand, but I'm just fine, and I can do lots of things, even help at Amy's party. Do you understand? Do you have any questions? And as I stood up, Faith looked at me and said, "I hope when I'm old, I don't get sarcoma." And I smiled and said, "Oh, Faith, I hope that for you too." And as I turned to walk back in the kitchen, I thought to myself, I am not old. What I did not tell Faith was that I had been left-handed for 54 years before my experience with cancer. Living life with an obvious hole in my silhouette has brought an appreciation for many things. When confronted with something that appears to be two-handed, I have the opportunity to learn to do that thing a new way, to ask for help, or sometimes I simply decide gracefully not to do that thing. Throughout my second act, I have found creative solutions in body position, gadgets, and help from others. Did you know that asking, accepting, and allowing someone to help is a gift to them as well as a gift to you? I recently had a conversation with a 4-year-old about my one-handedness. "Will it grow back?" he asked. "No." "I bet you can't do a handstand." "You're right," I replied, "but I could do an elbow stand if I really wanted to." Really wanted to is the operative phrase here. I have learned to employ all of my remaining assets, and for me that is 4 fingers and a thumb, 2 elbows, 2 knees, 2 feet, and in my case, 36 teeth, to accomplish what I choose to make a priority. With the help of a very creative personal trainer, I work out twice a week to maintain the muscular balance of my shoulders, arms, and back, as well as my lower body. And it was a rather embarrassing moment in the gym when my prosthetic device and kettlebell fell to the floor. Maintaining a sense of humor is key. There are perks that come with amputation. Having only half as many age spots as other women my age. The opportunity to seek half-price manicures. And never again losing a pair of gloves. Remarkably, my one-handedness is not always the first thing that people notice about me. One day I went shopping wearing a jacket with the pocket still stitched shut, and as I wandered through the store, I fidgeted with my fingers, loosening the threads until my hand went inside the partially open pocket. That was a mistake. My plan to loosen the rest of the threads and remove my hand was flawed. I didn't have I didn't have enough leverage in order to break those threads, and my hand became securely entrapped in that pocket. An unknowing sales clerk approached me and said, "May I help you with something?" And I said, "Yes, but probably not what you're thinking." I was also shopping another time and found what I thought was a perfect pair of earrings. And because I don't always have help at home when I'm getting dressed, I needed to try them on. Watching me struggle with one hand to get the earring fastened, the salesperson said, "You might have to use two hands." "Oh, don't I wish," I said. My second act has included an incredible trip to Nepal, where I climbed to 19,200 feet on Island Peak, Imjitse, after summiting two lower peaks. Thank you. Each morning, I was expected to stuff my sleeping bag into a compression sack. I had discovered before I left home that sleeping bag stuffing is definitely a two-handed thing. So the first morning, I asked a Sherpa if he would please help. I did not have to ask a second time. I have added a little extra attention from the Sherpa to my amputation perks list. Summiting the first mountain required crawling over some large rocks, and I do not crawl well or easily, and I did not know how I was going to descend. As my anxiety increased, a Sherpa appeared at my left, and like a guardian angel, he said, "I'm here to help you down." Gently holding on to my remaining limb, he guided me with ease, confidence, and remarkable speed. We flew down that mountain. I felt like a gazelle. I am a whole person. A resilient response to change begins with a positive attitude, and attention and intention are required to recognize the perks. Your focus determines your reality. Do you focus on the holes or on wholeness? I became a grandmother for the first time 10 months after my surgery, and throughout my daughter-in-law's pregnancy, in addition to all of the other things that I was accepting and accommodating at that time, I was borrowing more than a little bit of trouble worrying about what kind of a grandmother I was going to be. How was I going to change diapers? How was I going to play patty cake? How was I going to snap a onesie? How would I strap a toddler into a rear-facing car seat? How would I make French braids in a little girl's hair? My mind was racing with questions. I only have one hand. A dear friend suggested that I stop borrowing trouble and have faith that this child would accept me the way that I am. And my friend was so right. I am constantly surprised and blessed to discover the gifts that Amy has brought to me. Now 11 years old, Amy was born after having a thalamic brain hemorrhage. In addition to epilepsy, she has compromised use of her right side, and together we make a perfect pair of hands.